Hey everyone, and welcome to Screams After Midnight. I am Peter. I am joined, as always, by Tim. You realise it's also an audio podcast, Tim, right? You have to say something.
I'm trying to save my voice as much as possible.
Okay, Tim's a little bit under the weather. We're struggling on. Well, Tim's struggling on. I'm just, I don't know, being me normally. So this is a horror movie podcast. This is our news edition of the show. Obviously, the main episodes of the movie reviews, but we do news now every week, and we have a bunch of news to talk about this week. Obviously, no box office because there's no box office to talk. It doesn't exist right now. There's no box office due to what's going on in the world. So. But we do have some news. We have a lot of talk of delays and release date moving and things like that. This is going to be a long episode. Well, it's going to be a short episode, actually, what I should say. If every time I leave Tim the window open to give his opinion on something, he just lets me hang there. Okay. We'll get started then, shall we? Candyman, which was due to come out in June, has been moved to September 25th to be specific. Not surprising. We've kind of been seeing this thing with the movie release dates where, you know, all the April movies pushed and then all the May movies pushed, and now we're getting all the June movies are starting to push. The movie industry sort of noticing that, hey, we won't be good to go again by June. We probably won't be good to go again by July. So everything is getting pushed, and we're going to see a few other stories sort of that show that in a minute, but. Candyman was kind of one of the big ones in June that I was thinking of that would probably be next to be hit a few days ago, and sure enough, it was next. So it does mean that we get to take a little bit extra time getting through the first, because you know we actually just recorded the first Candyman review recently, and we're going to do the second one very soon, thinking we had to have them done by June. Now we can spread them out over 5-6 months, which is handy.
Yeah, I mean it's not surprising. Yeah, I think obviously everything's getting pushed back now, but I mean, I'd still rather see this in theaters than just watching it on VOD. So it's so at least they are pushing it back instead of just going ahead and releasing it.
Yeah. Speaking of that, obviously Marvel pushed Black Widow before, which is not a horror movie, but what might be a horror movie is Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, which we have to mention because Black Widow is now taking the date that Eternals had, so then Eternals took the date that something else had. So basically every Marvel movie bumped back to the next slot that they had, so that affects Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, which was originally coming out in May 2021, is now coming out on November 5th, 2021. So
oh wow.
We've had a knock-on effect there. I'll just run through these kind of quickly now at this point because we know why this is all happening. There's nothing to really say. Run, Sweetheart, Run, which was a movie I had a teaser trailer for this recently. Or no, I at least had some news on it because I recognised the image this year. But this was supposed to be coming out in theaters in May 8th, 2020. It has been pulled out of its release schedule. Not surprising. We're basically expecting nothing in May now at this point. So if anything hasn't been pulled already, it will be soon enough, unless people just don't care about it, I guess. Likewise, Morbius from Sony has been pushed to actually, Sony went a bit nuts. Actually, they actually delayed every big movie they had this year until 2021. So that was also Ghostbusters and Afterlife. Ghostbusters Afterlife was pushed to next year as well. So that was meant to be coming out in July this year and is now going to be coming out in March next year. Morbius is coming out also March next year. Yeah, they're only a couple of weeks apart. So there you go. They're also claiming that they've pushed Uncharted. I mean, I still don't believe that movie's happening, so whatever. Grain of salt.
Didn't they say something about A Quiet Place 2? They were thinking about releasing it. It seemed kind of soon.
I was at the end of my little delay list here.
Okay.
I'll skip ahead. You brought it up. You brought it up. We'll skip ahead to it. Quiet Place 2 obviously was one of the first ones that got pushed. They're now scheduling it for September 4th.
Okay.
Labor Day weekend, which seems maybe feasible. It kind of depends. We really don't know how much we're still going to be locked down come September.
Yeah.
It's definitely more feasible than some other things. Like, I think San Diego Comic-Con has still not been cancelled. And it's like,
that's
yeah,
nuts.
good luck with that.
Yeah,
Good luck with that.
that's insane.
But yeah, so September, fair bet. I mean, at that point, why not just put it in October? But whatever.
Sure.
Every year we get mad that there's horror movies out in September, and even August to a point. So just wait till October. Give us lots of horror movies in October. Now, admittedly, we'd have to do a lot of reviews if they released everything in October. But I mean,
Sure.
we do October-thon. It's fine.
Yeah.
We've got an excuse for it.
Or like at the very least, it seems like the only stuff that gets released in October is usually like bad stuff. Like, even if October is crowded, like why not make sure one of them is good?
It's because they know they don't have to be good in October to make money. Is if there's a horror movie in theaters, idiots will go see it because it's October, and then the good one can make money potentially by just being good. There's some sabotaging going on here with felines on Tim's end. Next delay, April 10th, which was obviously very soon, was supposed to be the release for Saint Maud.
Oh, okay.
Which is A24. Trailer was quite interesting. Looks kind of cool. That has been pulled from the schedule with no date as of yet, replacement wise.
But like, I mean, that probably wasn't going to get like a huge release though, right? Like,
you wouldn't think so. Before, I mean, A24 maybe are determined to have this be a theater release, or I don't know. Maybe they're just ironing out the details of what they want to do, but they have pulled it. So, I mean, honestly, our April's actually surprisingly busy for VOD releases. I was just showing Tim before we started. There's about 7 movies coming out in April that we potentially could be doing, and typically we try and keep it to like doing one new movie a week. So they stack up, which is why we always end up having to try to catch up in the first couple of months of the following year. But yeah, so Saint Maud has been pulled from the schedule, and the last one we're going to talk about is Malignant. This is the James Wan horror movie, the Giallo film, which he was shooting before. That was supposed to be coming out on August 14th, so this is maybe one of the later ones that have been pushed, but it's been pulled from that for now. Interestingly, this might be less to do with because they don't think they're ready for that. In fact, it's actually not. It's the opposite. This was the day that, because Warner Bros. Of course are putting this out, this was the day that Wonder Woman 1984 get pushed to, which is a little bit optimistic, but it does make sense that if they're releasing their big superhero movie that day, that they don't want to release a small horror movie that day as well. So that's why.
But I mean, also with something like this, they're probably still working on it, right? Which, if they were working on it, they had to shut down production. Like, I wonder if it's even finished,
I would have thought so. I don't remember hearing shooting finished, but it's possible production did end and they'll just get post-production now.
Yeah.
That is possible. I didn't see anything saying one way or the other. So, but not surprising. I mean, honestly, Wonder Woman 84, like, honestly, I'm still hesitant that'll make that August 14th date. That feels, we were saying how September's kind of unclear, but it's at least like, okay, it's far away enough that maybe the world's kind of at least in some way back to normal. August is right in that tipping point where I'm not sure. I'm just not sure, so we'll see. But not surprised. Maybe this is one they'll put out VOD only. The thing is, though, is if they put everything out on VOD, they're going to hit a drought in like a year or so when all the movies that have to shut down production, there'll be nothing to release. So it makes sense that they're going to have to try and spread things out a little bit. But yeah, so that's all the delays I think that at least I noticed in the horror world over the last week or so. But yeah, keeps happening.
Yeah, I mean, now it's kind of just, you kind of expect it. Like, it seems like pretty much until you hear some type of news about things returning to normal, that things are probably just gonna be delayed.
Yeah, we're looking at months and months here, if not over a year, really. If the potential's there for that. So yeah, we'll see. So moving on to some actual other news then. So Relic is a movie that's coming out this year. Which obviously we've not gotten to yet. It's not been released, to the public yet. But Natalie Erica James directed it, and she is working on a new film. Relic got some buzz at the Sundance Film Festival before IFC Midnight acquired it for release later in the year. I mean, whether or not it releases it, whatever they planned is another question at this point. Sure. But in a new interview with Screen Daily, we got details of what this director Natalie Erica James is doing next, and this is what she said is writing a new project, which is a Japanese folk horror a la The Wicker Man and Rosemary's Baby. It's about motherhood, fear of motherhood, loss, and selfhood. These comments came from the writer who's writing the script, as opposed to the director herself. But so her next, it's one of these things where I have no idea how much stock to put in this story yet. But the fact that we've got a story saying, "Hey, this director's next thing's in the works," makes me think, oh, there must be enough buzz in this first film if we're treating this like it's newsworthy at this kind of vague stage. But I mean, maybe that's just wishful thinking. I don't know, but
I mean, yeah, it definitely sounds cool. Yeah, like it's obviously don't know much at this point, but it's something to keep on the radar.
Yeah. And apparently she's a big fan of Ringu and the works of Hideo Nakata. So that's maybe where the Japanese influence is coming from. So that's cool. Next up, So Universal Pictures is doing a movie called Don't Go in the Water. It's described as a suspenseful monster movie. We have no plot details, but we do know now that Stephen Williams, who directed some of the episodes of HBO's Watchmen, is going to be directing the movie. So we're getting an aquatic monster movie called Don't Go in the Water.
Oh, I mean, I like the title. I like aquatic horror, so that's interested so far.
Yeah, the script's written by Peter Gaffney, with Sean Levi and Dan Levine. Both of those two last guys worked on Stranger Things, so we got a little bit of it should be hopefully a fun movie. Is my hopes.
Makes me wonder if there's something in the water that they don't want you to go in there.
Honestly, Tim, you should be a detective. This is I'm blown away by your analysis of the situation. Moving on, antiviral director Brandon Cronenberg, who is related to David Cronenberg, it's his son, is back with a new film this year called Possessor. It's a genre film that got, again, Sundance Film Festival, got a lot of buzz. Yeah, here we go. Possessor follows a corporate agent, Tasha Voss, played by Andrea Riseborough, who works for a secretive organization that uses brain implant technology to inhabit other people's bodies, ultimately driving them to commit assassinations for high-paying clients. This is one of these ones that might veer slightly more sci-fi depending on the tone. So this may end up in an Ace episode rather than a Streams episode, but... Well Go USA are going to be releasing it presumably this year.
Well, yeah, I've been seeing people talking about this. It sounds pretty interesting, and I've actually never seen Antiviral, but I've heard like pretty good things about it. It's one of those ones I've always meant to go back and watch, but haven't gotten around to yet. But
yeah, it's maybe one that we'll do on the show when we're close to Possessor coming out. Maybe we'll check out again. Assuming it's a horror movie, I'm not actually 100% sure.
It's probably. I mean, I think probably similar to a lot of Cronenberg. David Cronenberg himself. It's probably one of the ones that kind of skits the line between horror and sci-fi. So if I'm thinking of the right movie, I think it has something to do with like celebrity STDs, people like it's very like fashionable to get like a celebrity STD or something like that. I don't know.
Hell, if there's one person I know to talk to about celebrity STDs, that man is Tim. So you know what you're talking about. So that's a Possessor. I will say the image that comes with this article looks pretty freaky. The face on this woman or this mask she's wearing is pretty freaky. So consider my interest peaked. Consider it. Next up, Antlers, of course, is one we're looking forward to. Has been delayed. I mean, it was already delayed. That's not news this week. But the director of that movie, Scott Cooper, is going forward with another film, a psychological horror film called A Head Full of Ghosts. And they've cast Margaret Qualley in the lead role. She was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. She was maybe more known as well for The Leftovers on HBO. So she's going to be in there. STX Films are going to be releasing it, both in the US and the UK. I kind of hate them a little bit though, because they did the boy movies, so they're the worst. But so they're going to be released. A Head Full of Ghosts sees a young woman recount to a journalist the terrifying story of how her family was publicly ripped apart 20 years prior by her teenage sister's mysterious affliction. When 8-year-old Mary's older sister exhibits signs of indeterminate and terrifying affliction, the Barrett family slowly tears itself apart. Now, 20 years later, Mary is confronted with her family's traumatic past when Rachel, a journalist with similarly haunted past, delves into the case, causing Mary to relive and reconsider the devastating memories of her childhood. So, presumably, the sister was possessed or something to that effect, but obviously, it's keeping it kind of vague right now.
Well, I read the book, so I know
oh, okay.
a little bit about this. I think we talked about it before, but the book's very good.
All right, okay.
So I recommend that anyone who's interested in checking it out. But I definitely like the source material, and I haven't seen Antlers yet, but I do like the director so far from the trailer.
The trailer looked good, yeah.
So this could be good.
Can I ask a question? Did you read this book
Sure.
because on the cover of the novel there's a quote from Stephen King saying he liked it? Is that why you read this?
I have read books because of that before, but I think this was one that someone actually recommended to me. But
because I like the idea that Tim's browsing books in the bookstore and he sees Stephen King's name, assumes it's a Stephen King book, and then doesn't realize until later that, oh shit, Stephen King didn't write this.
I have I've never done that, but I have done stuff where I've seen like, oh hey, Stephen King says this is good, so I'll check it out. And I don't think I've been disappointed so far.
I mean, his name's almost as big as the author's name on this cover. It's actually kind of like intentionally confusing. Yeah. Without looking at it too closely that he's not the author, but so that's A Head Full of Ghosts.
Yeah. I'd recommend anything by Paul Tremblay though. He's a pretty good author.
Cool. So we got trailers then. We got some trailers to look at. We get a trailer for a movie coming to Shudder this month. Well, it's not called The Hair Ghost, but The Hair Ghost is the entity in it. It's called 0.0 megahertz. The interesting title. Hard to search for, honestly, which is one of the biggest problems with it. But this is coming on April 23rd to Shudder, and there's a trailer that came out just this past week. What did you think of this trailer?
I thought it looked okay. I could see it going either way, but like it has like a lot of it felt kind of like early maybe 2000s, like, Japanese horror movies that we've seen before that, I do like that kind of style and imagery. So it definitely had me intrigued, but I don't know if I'd say I'm completely sold, but I mean, I am excited to check it out though.
Yeah, I was kind of mixed in the trailer because on the one hand I like some of the visuals. I like that it seems to be like, I mean, I'll read the description here just to give everyone a good taste of this, but obviously find the trailer yourself and have a look at it. But members of a paranormal exploration club go to an abandoned house in a remote small town to prove the existence of a ghost using radio frequency based technology. Unfortunately, the young students unwittingly become the ghost's host. So a lot of what you see in the trailer is like they're in this like abandoned building and they've got a lot of like test equipment set up and they're kind of trying to like do some studies and stuff, and the creepy stuff starts happening, and it seems like it seems like it's mostly set in this one place, and over the course of the night, like it completely screws with them. It's the sort of thing that might be found footage. It isn't, but it could have been found footage if they really wanted to go that route. So I was kind of conflicted because on the one hand I felt like, okay, we're doing a lot of tropes from the early 2000s in terms of, because it's a Korean movie, it's a South Korean movie, and I was thinking, it seems like we're doing just a repeat of a lot of those things, but then at the same time it's been a long time since we really had one of those,
right? Yeah.
At least notably. I mean, I'm sure there's been some small ones, but so I'm intrigued enough that I think we should probably do this on the show.
Sure.
So out later in April. I don't know if we'll get to it in April, if it'll be more of an early May thing. We got a big list of movies to do, but I'm intrigued enough to give it a look and see if it's any good. Because this is the thing, is like, for a horror movie podcast and we're reviewing movies constantly, I feel like we somehow only did like one or two Shudder movies throughout the entirety of 2019, and I don't know if that just says a lot about the type of movies Shudder gets the rights to, that most of them are kind of, they're like okay, but they're not like the stuff that people are talking about. They're not like high profile enough or whatever. But
yeah, I also feel like they end up getting a lot of stuff that like they don't get it right away, because I feel like there's a lot of stuff that we review and then like a month or two later I'll see like, oh, coming to Shudder.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
like maybe it's not always like, right, debuting there first or something, but
That's true. That's true. But hey, so this is coming April 23rd on Shudder. So I'm intrigued. I'm not. It's one of those things where I didn't leave this trailer thinking that's going to be bad. I thought this could be good, but I could also see it being bad. But I wasn't like. There's so many trailers where I'll leave the trailer and go, that's going to be terrible, and almost nothing's going to change my mind. But I came out of this going, I really don't know if it's going to be good or bad. There's potential. We'll see. So that is 0.0 megahertz. Next up, we got a trailer for Vampire Dad, which quirky trailer. Obviously, it's more of a horror comedy than a straight horror movie. It's basically a sort of quirky. It looks like it's set in like the 50s, 60s kind of time period. The teenage daughters get the boner hair, it's all that kind of stuff. And it's this dad who's a therapist, a psychologist, who's turned into a vampire by a vampire because the vampires and the rest of the monster world wanted a therapist, so that's why they turned the therapist into a vampire. But it's full on horror comedy. It's got that bubbly. They're really going for that 50s visual style where everything's very colorful and Technicolor looking. And I was conflicted by this one. This is coming out in June, by the way. This is June 16th on VOD. Just before Father's Day. Fun enough, they're actually tying this into a holiday. But watching this trailer, I kind of felt conflicted because on the one hand I was like, this feels like obviously a low budget movie, but visually it actually has a style, versus a lot of low budget movies of this type where it'll just look like a shot on video, whatever. And then I also thought the acting quality felt better than I would usually, because I feel like I've seen a lot of horror comedy trailers from these low budget, movies that go straight to VOD where I'm kind of cringing at the acting. And I was kind of in a weird middle place with this, where I was like, I feel like these actors are good enough to like, they're hitting the right tone that they should be hitting for the comedy that they're doing, but at the same time I'm not convinced any of this is going to be funny. Does that make sense?
Sure. Yeah, the premise I think sounds pretty stupid, but when I watched the trailer I was actually like, oh, there might be something here. I do like, it kind of felt like something that you might see in the 90s. Like, even though it's set in the 50s, it seems like the kind of movie that would have happened in the 90s. Like, I don't know, it reminds me of like Addams Family or something, you know what I mean? Like, where it kind of has like an older, like there's like a doo-wop aesthetic to it, which I actually kind of like, because it does give it some style versus like, just being like a very bland kind of thing. So like I wouldn't necessarily say like there's any like super funny jokes in the trailer, but like there was enough interesting stuff there that I'm like, okay, I wouldn't mind watching this. At least give it a shot,
Yeah, no, I get it. So the base coming out in June, and even though we've got a lot of movies coming out soon, there's again much because a lot of production shut down. It's entirely possible that later in the year we're going to hit a bit of a drought or at least it'll slow down because a lot of movies aren't being made as much for a while. So maybe this will be the perfect sort of year for them to release this and for us to actually pay attention to it and go, hey, we'll give this a chance and see if it's any good. But at the same time, it's one of those things where 5 minutes into it's like, okay, this may be painfully bad. Maybe we should opt out of this right now before we've wasted time on it. But that's Vampire Dad. And then the final trailer, I saved the most obviously prolific one for last. This is Peninsula, which is Train to Busan. I think the official title might even be Train to Busan Presents Peninsula, which is a really weird, clunky title. And I get that they wanted to have, like, why not just call it Train to Busan 2 Peninsula?
I mean, I don't know if it's weird if there's like no train.
I suppose, I guess, yeah, like... true. Because what else do you do? I guess you do like I mean, it's not even set in this. I mean, see if it was set in Busan, still you could do something like I don't know, A Day in Busan, and it would have that Busan connector to make it sound like it's part of the same franchise. Whereas they've kind of awkwardly had to try and this is almost like a Spiral from the Book of Saw levels of like we wanted to give it a new title, but we wanted to let you know it was part of that franchise, so we had to kind of really clunkily, or the Twilight Saga. Anyway, so this looks freaking amazing. Tim, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, this is like, it's definitely not what I was expecting from the Train to Busan sequel, but it looks like so like it has like such cool action and everything. Like I'm not really sure what to expect from it, but I mean, just from this trailer, it looks like a blast.
Yeah, I feel like the first movie. Okay, they wanted to do this great zombie movie, really tense, slow horror, and this is still a horror movie, but I'm getting more of a zombie Mad Max vibe from this trailer.
Oh, totally. Yeah, yeah.
There's like a gladiator combat like moment where they force some people to fight like hordes of zombies. There's
And it
car
looks really
chases.
cool. Like the way the zombies come out, they look like this weird like
They look
like just blob.
Yeah,
of
they,
it, like...
they look like one organism, and each zombie's like just one part of the whole. Yeah, it looks like a. Yeah, no, there's some cool visuals in here. It feels like it's got a mild sense of humor. I was immediately kind of drawn into it, and I went, you know what, this isn't the same movie, but at the same time, like, I'm kind of glad for that almost. Like, I don't know if I wanted to see them try to, because the temptation would be to do like Train to Busan, but on like a plane or something, right? Like Plane to Busan. Right. Like, yeah. Oh, that if they'd done that, that could be the title, right? Plane to Busan, Boat to Busan. There's a whole trilogy of transport.
But yeah, no, I mean, this looks like really, really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it does. I mean, there's a couple of the car chase moments were kind of, you know, mediocre CG, but other than that, the rest of it, like, I was really into the action-packed vibe of it, and I feel like they're going nuts with it, and it might fall flat. Maybe we'll watch this and it'll just feel kind of like a misfire, but at the very least, I feel like they're really trying something. Like no, we want to go nuts and do our version of this zombie story. So
totally.
Yeah, go for it. I'm into it. The trailer looks good. So we don't have a date or anything for that yet. We assume it's coming this year. I mean, obviously it looks ready in terms of, you know. Yeah. So I look forward to it. So that was the final trailer. That has been the horror movie news this week. But as we sometimes do, I think it's worth discussing if we just casually if we watched anything in the last week or so that wasn't for the show that you want to mention. I mean, obviously keep it light because we might do them for the show in the future at some point. But
geez, I feel like I watched a couple of things. I was finishing some series. Like we watched we finished up Lock and Key, Marianne, the latest season of Sabrina, which I liked all of those. You know, thought they were all pretty decent watches. We watched I don't know if you remember the trailer for that movie Villains.
Oh yeah, that was the couple who go into like the house with the older couple.
Yeah. It was like they're kind of like bank robbers or something. Well, I think it was like a convenience store they're robbing.
But the old couple turn out to be like, I don't know, serial killers or something, whatever it is.
Yeah. Actually, I like that quite a bit. I thought that was pretty good. Which I mean, I don't know, like if we want to do it for the show, we can. I don't know if it's like super horror. Like
it's not high priority. There's a movie that just came out in VOD actually called Vivarium, and I was looking at it going. We watched the trailer for the news at some point in the last 4 months, and I was looking at it going, this could be more sci-fi or horror depending. It's hard to tell exactly which way it leans more. So it's always one of those in between things. But that just came out. So it's just because you said you were having trouble saying, is it a full-on horror movie? Is it just kind of a silly half?
Like it's I don't know. It's kind of quirky. Like I would say. It's more like kind of like dark comedy, honestly. But I really liked it. It's on Hulu, I believe. If people are looking for like a decent watch, I thought it was pretty good. I also watched Sweetheart, which was on Netflix. That was like the Castaway kind of monster movie. That was all right. It was like, again, I wouldn't say like I was like, oh my god, this is like amazing. But I was like, it wasn't a bad watch.
Yeah, so but it's not one we're upset we didn't. It's not one we're upset we didn't do for the show though, right? It's not.
Yeah, I mean it's a decent movie. Like it's I don't know if would be like super interesting to talk about. I mean, maybe if people really want us to do it, we can do it. But I mean, we have so much stuff on.
Yeah, I feel like if the movie's above a 7, we should do it on the show. If the movie's under a 4, we should do it on the show. But there's that middle portion where maybe not.
Yeah.
No, I watched a few things. I've been watching a lot of movies on stream. I watched a movie from 1979 called Screamers, but the alternate title is much better. The alternate title is Island of the Fishmen. This is an Italian movie with all the dubbing. It's got all these really cheap like Creatures from the Black Lagoon knockoffs, like killing people. The first like 20 minutes is just nothing but death scenes. It's kind of entertaining. It slows down a bit after that, but it does get kind of nuts where it kind of brings into this crazy scientist who's trying to like train them because he wants them to swim down to the lost city of Atlantis to get gold for him. It's not. It was kind of nuts. So it was kind of worth a watch in kind of a crazy way, so one that you could watch with friends. On the other end of the scale, I watched a movie called Mutant, aka Night Shadows. I don't know what it is about movies from this era that have like multiple titles, but this is from 1984, and it's like two brothers who come out of a small town, but there's like a monster seemingly killing people around town. Honestly, there's some good moments here or there that are fun in like a cheesy way, but there's a lot of slow, like just dull in between all these parts. So I wasn't super into that one as much. I definitely enjoyed Island of the Fishmen more. I watched Spider Baby, which was from 1967. Really weird movie. There's a very young Sid Haig in it.
Yeah.
It's about this crazy family of. I was actually wondering as I was watching it, is this kind of like almost inspiration for Texas Chainsaw? Because it's kind of this weird family who are crazy and. Like the people who've come to visit are put off by how weird and disturbing they are, and the two sisters are especially kind of kooky, and the younger sister wants to play spider, which means she wants to pretend to be a spider and kill people with knives. But there's some fun moments in there. It's black and white, it's old school, definitely a quirky 90 minutes if you want to give it a try.
I had that on my radar because I'd heard people talking about it when Sid Haig passed away, and it sounded interesting.
Yeah, I think that I had it on Blu-ray, but I think it was also on Prime as well.
Yeah, I had it on my Prime list for a while.
Yeah, so if people want to check that out, you have the options. And that was pretty much it. Those were the horror movies. I've also been working through the works of Cynthia Rothrock, but those aren't horror movies.
Yeah, I've also. I mean, I work from home 3 days a week now, so I just have like, always am putting stuff on the background. I've finally started making my way through the big Godzilla Criterion set that I got.
Nice.
So yeah, not exactly horror, but yeah, monster related.
I'd argue the first one's kind of a horror because the first one treats his attack like a horror, like it feels apocalyptically horrific when it happens. The rest of them not so much because the rest of them are just like, it's just monsters and suits fighting and
yeah. Well, I like how like weird it gets, like pretty much starting with like Mothra when it's like, oh, like we have like these two tiny women and like all this like different crazy stuff that's going on. It was a pretty
Mothra.
But I guess like the other big horror thing though, not movie related, but like Resident Evil 3 came out.
Yes. I think we're going to do a big conversation on it once you've finished the game. I already beat it 4 times though, so I mean, I am well versed in that new game. I have thoughts. Not all of them positive. I have
interesting.
I have lots of thoughts to share. So we'll have a big conversation on that at some point, like we did with 2. If you want to go back and find our big hour-long or so, whatever it was, conversation on Resident Evil 2, you go find that. But it's a bit of stuff. I'll try to watch more. Obviously, I'd have probably watched a couple more. But of course, Resident Evil 3 came out, and that kind of consumed 2 nights of my life. So, but I will definitely. I'm trying to keep my movie watching up because I'm doing well this year. Actually, I've been ticking away at movies, trying to keep them up. So, yeah. Okay, that'll wrap us up then. That is. Sorry.
Well, and I guess. I forget if it was last week or at the start of this week, but of course we got to mention Stuart Gordon passing away.
Of course, yeah. I have to mention that. Yeah. Stuart Gordon, of course, who's mostly known for Reanimator and From Beyond. Did a few other things for those studios as well.
Like Castle Freak's
one. Yeah.
Dolls, which I think we previously did.
Yeah, Dolls is a fun movie. From Beyond, I remember liking it. I think I like Dolls a little bit more than From Beyond, actually, now that I think about it.
I watched it From Beyond, I think, a year or 2 ago, and I had never seen it before. It's not bad, but it's not my favorite.
Yeah.
I mean, I think like Reanimator is definitely the classic,
Yeah, Reanimator and Dolls I like quite a bit. No, I saw Castle Freak. I'm not so keen on Castle Freak, but he did a lot of movies over his time.
Yeah.
So it was a shame to hear him passing away. As far as I know, it was nothing to do with the current world crisis. It was just a natural otherwise thing. But
he wasn't like super old. I think he was like 70 something.
Yeah.
I mean, that's old, but it's not like,
Yeah, it's kind of the weird thing right now is that when someone passes away, like almost you have to like clarify every time now. Or was it because of that?
Yeah.
It's like no, it was just something else. But so yeah, it's a weird time. But no, obviously it's a shame to hear when a big director like that passes away, especially since we've already lost so many of who we think of as the grandfathers of the horror genre. We've lost Craven, we've lost Romero, so on.
Yeah.
So.
Like I think someone was saying like John Carpenter might kind of be like one of the last like like OG like big horror directors we have left.
Yeah, he is. He if you put him a Mount Rushmore of horror, it would definitely be Carpenter, Craven, Hooper, and Romero. I think. Like I feel like those were the names, and Carpenter's the one who's left. Carpenter's the one who is still kicking. So hopefully he lasts many a year to come. No, I mean, I don't even expect him to make movies. I'm not saying that because I want him to make movies. Like, he stopped making good movies a long time ago. I just want him to have a happy retirement, Keep making music. Do what makes you happy. Whatever.
He likes making music and playing video games. But, I mean, I feel like with, so many things kind of coming back now, I feel like I'd like to see, like, one last, like, movie from him. Like, obviously, like you said, some of his, like, later work over the last, 20-ish years or whatever, or maybe even like 30-ish something. Hasn't been great, but I mean, well, there's a big chunk that he wasn't doing anything. But I mean, I'd like to see him come out with like one last like good movie.
Yeah, let's be honest. Basically, since the 90s, I mean, there's a couple of okay ones in the 90s, but basically since the 90s, it's been bad. Not that he's really done anything in the last 15 years, barring like.
Right.
Because the last thing he did was like The Ward, and I want to say that was like 2007 or something like that. Like, that was a long time ago now.
Yeah, although I will give him credit for the Masters of Horror episode he did, which basically is a movie. But Cigarette Burns was really good. That would have been mid-ish 2000s, I think.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. That's fair.
So I'll give him that. But yeah, I mean, I feel like we still need like one big thing to go out on,
Yeah. So there you go. But that is our horror movie news episode for the week. So thank you very much for joining us. We will, of course, see you next time. You can let us know what you thought of any news items or what you've been watching horror movie-wise this past week in the comments below. You can like and subscribe, all that jazz. Get us on Twitter at ScreamsMidnight for horror retweets and shenanigans and Tim saying silly things about leprechauns. And believe it or not, we're already starting to plan for the Octoberthon, and it is only April because it takes time. It takes time and effort to plan that damn thing, and so thoughts are happening. It
hasn't gotten delayed yet.
You think we're gonna delay October? That's something's gonna happen. But yeah, so check that out. Check out Patreon, of course. If you want to support the show and everything we do here anyway. Patreon.com/MailFuzzTV and support us for as little as $1 per month. And for that $1, of course, you get bonus episodes of the movie reviews of Screams After Midnight. You get one of them per month, as well as other stuff as well. So go and have a look. $5 gets you early access to the episodes, the movie review episodes, and a vote once per month too. So go and have a look. See. And also worth mentioning, actually, if you're a patron at the $5 and up, the vote this month, which will go up in about a week or two, that is going to be for Crypt Picks, which is the list that patrons at $5 and up submit to. So if you want to have a chance of yours being put on the 4-movie vote, right now is a good time to add your movies to the Crypt. So go and have a look, see, and give it a go. Actually, sell something for me. I was arguing with a patron actually just this past week. Whether or not Cube was a horror movie or a sci-fi movie, and I'm firmly in the sci-fi camp, but I mean, I don't know how you feel about it.
I mean, I think of it more as sci-fi, but I mean, so much of like sci-fi and horror is kind of intertwined.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I wouldn't like if someone is saying they're horror, I wouldn't necessarily say like, oh, you fool, you're wrong. Like, I mean, personally, I feel like it is a little bit more sci-fi though.
That's just thought I'd get your opinion on it.
There's certainly horror elements though. I wouldn't discount that.
Yeah. So there you go. That has been the news. So thank you very much for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching scary movies, guys, and we will see you next time.